Hello, my name's Niranjan, the host of Master of Your Crafts podcast. Learning from leaders who are continuously inspired, passionate, and driven to align with their soul purpose, sharing their gifts to bring healing to others. The music is composed by Rebecca Everett. Today is episode number 56, and I'll be talking to Mansi Jasuja, cross-pollinating generalist who has interdisciplinary work experience in architecture, urban environmental management, water, waste, sanitation, low-income housing, and climate change. In addition, women empowerment, purpose and well-being, and conscious businesses. Mansi originates from India and living in the Netherlands since the year 2000, where she worked in various international NGOs, organizations, and universities. In 2008, a growing sense of climate urgency led her to reorient self and work to be wholly purpose-driven. She loves the beauty of observing and being fully present in nature and in the story of others. Mansi is also hosting spaces, empowering others and weaving networks. Some of the hats or turbans she wears in life are speaker, networker, feminist, host, trainer, mother, storyteller, systems rebel, yogi, dendrophile, art lover, and creative thinker. She loves to live life to the fullest in all of its chaos and messiness, while also offering humor and stories and a listening ear, unexpected creative ideas, hugs, warmth, and some madness, and a lot of color. Hello and welcome to Mansi. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Saying hello from a very sunny Holland today.
And I'm excited because it looks so bright and beautiful and ready for spring. So happy to have you on this conversation here today.
Thank you.
I'm excited and intrigued at the same time. I came across your profile from an interview you did a little while ago, sharing your journey, but I delved deeper into knowing a little bit more about you and your real succinct and deep connection with consciousness, but also from the element of the motherland, if you will, or the earth, and how that unity really brings into form in all the other things that you do. Can you share a little bit about what that journey was like for you and how it may define who you are today?
Yeah, we were talking just before we delved into this part. I think the journey is very much around unpeeling layers, and it's a journey which starts with going inwards and outwards at the same time, in a way. So I was brought up in a household where millions of other people would probably have had a similar cultural upbringing. In my case, a Sikh family, which is a minority religion, very value-based upbringing, very much around respect for each other, for nature. Being brought up in Delhi, large city, I suppose I was already a very sensitive child, because I remember as a small child already being aware of my surroundings and being very analytical or observant. I guess the curiosity was very much inherent in me. And the beginning years were very much around noticing and trying to follow what was the paths which were laid out. And at some point, that inner warrior in me, or the one which was challenged or awoken, because I recognized all kinds of inequities and challenges which were caused by human beings, and I was reacting to them. It really woke up a rebel in me. That was starting the unpeeling, right? It was starting to look critically at, okay, so this is how we are brought up, this is how we are taught. And it's, long journey further, you realize, in fact, human beings have always had this connection with nature. We seem to have forgotten that. We seem to have been told to separate ourselves from nature. And my life story, I guess, if you can put it together in one sentence, is sort of moving from that separation into recognizing how interconnected we are, how unified we are, and how I'm looking at all the elements which have been part of my upbringing, whether it's religion, whether it's education, whether it's career choices which were laid out for me, recognizing, hey, is this a way to connect me and for me to do good? Yeah, I think it starts with curiosity and unpeeling slowly the layers. Yeah.
So how did you get into this piece of really working with consciousness in terms of businesses and leadership and supporting other individuals, rather than segmenting it as, this is my business world, this is the world that this system and environment has created for me that I should live in, and this is my private world. Mm-hmm. And these are the culture, values, and belief systems that I need to live into. How do they cross over, or do they cross over in your world?
Yeah, 100%. There's a complete overlap. The journey was very much, me working first in institutions where I had a strong belief that they will do good, working for large international organizations, and me being very curious and always challenging what was being done and sort of trying to find out, okay, who is this going to help? Who are we doing this for? How does this make a better world? This is just something which was always inborn in me, sort of knowing that whatever I did had to have some value, some purpose. And I was quite lost in those times, thinking maybe there's something wrong with me, that I don't seem to be able to fit in well in these work spaces. Yet I just couldn't show up and continue doing that. There was something in me which just blocked me. I just couldn't. Physically, emotionally, mentally, it just, there was no other way for me. So at some point, I had this period of severe eco-grief. As an environmentalist, I'd studied, I'm educated as an architect and an urban environmental manager. So I've studied environmental science. And as the data of environmental science really entered my soul, that's how I kind of call it, because really feeling that, it's one thing to read data that we have this many percentage of biodiversity loss every year. But at some point, you can also feel it. You can sense it. I sensed it, and it froze me. It blocked me from wanting to pursue a career which would just be great for my own career path, but I just couldn't show up for that work. So the journey of consciousness started with just me sort of knowing, what can I as an individual contribute to? When I was unable to follow the normal career path, the safety, which is very important, of course, as well, that led me to a crossroad, because I knew I wanted to work in environmental work, because the status of the earth was really calling me. And that led me to a crossroads. Am I going to work on adaptation, or am I going to work on mitigation? Adaptation is, they're all relevant and they're all important work. But I realized at some point, as a choice, I want to work on the root causes, because we can keep on adapting, but if we keep on causing harm, doing harm, it cannot sustain in a long term. So I knew I had to be in the field of mitigation, and therefore I went further into, it's like exploring what's underneath the problem, and then another floor and another layer. And at the end, when I asked a lot of those questions, what's underneath this, the root cause is human beings and their leadership and their consciousness. If we wake up to the fact that we are not separated from each other from the environment, that would help. And when you talk about business, I have no business background, but business is not about numbers or just money. Business is people.
That's
Business
right.
is run by people. You don't deal with businesses, you deal with people.
Yeah.
And therefore, that step into, it's also synchronicity. Things just happen in my life. But, well, there I am.
Yeah. What a beautiful gift of being able to unravel all of that and segment it in a way that you can follow that calling, you can rebirth from that death that happened, is how I translate of what you've just said. And follow that true calling for for something greater, something bigger, to really lean in and open your arms and go, okay, I'm here as a vessel. What is it you want me to do?
Yeah, it's a very scary path sometimes.
Absolutely.
It's not an easy path. I wish more people would do it, but I also wish that the systems would wake up to support people wanting to do it.
To do it.
Yeah. I don't know how yet, but I really wish that.
And perhaps that is an evolutionary process for the collective.
Yes. It certainly isn't a one-person job. I don't want to do this alone. I don't believe I'm managing to do this alone. Luckily, I do feel I have a strong community around me, my own tribe. It took also a very long time to find that,
Yes.
Feeling like a misfit in a lot of different spaces, and finally finding a tribe and going, yay, yippee.
Yes.
There are more people like me.
That's right. Isn't it such a beautiful relief when you find like-minded and you connect, and that gel just beautifully syncs together and creates that safe place from a different part of safety.
Yes. And also you learn so much from each other, right? There's of course the creative boost, there's the safe space, there's the thing that, hey, I'm not crazy. There are more crazies like me, or at least I'm not the only crazy.
That's right. That's right. It's interesting.
I guess you're one of them as well.
I guess we are. We're all in the same boat together. But what we know, when we're in the same boat and the tide is running, all boats rise together. So
yeah. It's funny that you bring up the metaphor of a boat, because I often use that in some of my leadership work when people say, hey, I'm too small to make a difference. And I often say, in times of a flood, it's all the small boats that come out and save people and animals, whatever needs saving. So every boat can make a huge difference. So it's instead of having one big ship.
And that's similar to consciousness, right? It is the collective. Yeah. We are all little drops in this big ocean, but we all make the ocean.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you know this already. We don't need to go there. What do you feel are some of the attributes that you have learned along the way for maybe individuals who were challenged with, how do I get to a more conscious place in this world of systems that have been created that don't lean themselves very well to a conscious and an aware being? What would some of those attributes be that align you with your purpose?
What I love about people is the individual stories they have led, and to discover and uncover those stories. And I'm very much a story catcher. I love to listen to people's stories. I'm a storyteller and a catcher. Within those stories are the attributes which can be, you can really see that they're quite similar across people. They all have certain gifts that they were born with. I think that's really important to know that most people had a certain gift which was inborn. Maybe they forgot about it, they lost it within the formalized systems where they were led to. And at some point, maybe there was a crisis. Usually there is a crisis that leads people into unpacking and this rediscovering. And that's the moment often when people rediscover, go back to the beginning and say, hey, but this was who I am. This is who I was, and this is who I want to be. And these are the gifts that I want to use. So that's quite often an attribute I hear in the stories. What are the original gifts you're born with, and where do you, and if you follow them, you're authentic with recognizing that and working with that. That's often helping you or anybody to be, happier and to be the best version of, although being the best version of yourself is overrated, to be honest. You don't always have to be the best version of yourself.
That's right. That's right.
Because it just puts too much pressure. You don't have
Absolutely.
But at least it helps you be purposeful and live a meaningful life. Listening to stories of people, realize is that there is this story at the individual level. But I love helping people connect to the systemic story which is around them, and to listen into what's beyond you, because we are so tied up with our own individual stories and paths that we forget to listen and connect to the other ones.
Right.
And the moment we are able to enter that deep listening to other stories, we are able to open our hearts, empathetic responses. And I think that's where the connections really get built between people and communities. From there, you often see there is less conflict because people are hearing each other. People are working together. They start to co-create. There's more understanding.
Right.
And that's a very powerful attribute, I feel, like that connection between your individual stories and the systemic stories which are playing at the same time.
Right.
I wonder if you have also noticed that in some of your interviews or some of your other work.
Absolutely. It's almost like both have to be present in order for that collision to happen. Whether it be, a midlife crisis, a quarter century crisis, whatever you want to call it, for something to capture your attention in such a significant way that it stops you in your tracks and you go, I have to look at this. Or it could be something as mild as a really deep conversation, perhaps like ours, or an interaction and engagement with an individual that sparks, opens, triggers, seeds something within you to go, okay, look at this. I feel it all has to work hand in hand, in tandem. There's a beautiful ripple effect. We're using the water analogy. A ripple effect that needs to happen, I feel, from one thing to another.
Yeah, it's interesting because in the transformation work which I do, I often see that people transform because of two main reasons. There's either a crisis, like we were just talking about, or there is a vision where you're heading towards. So it's like a push or pull. So you're all or sort of pulling yourself towards something, or something has broken and is then from there pushing you into a new direction. So the transformation is often caused by that. And I sometimes wonder, with the threat of climate change looming so close, how can we increase some of the crisis? Or is it happening naturally? How can we hasten this transformation? Because I think that's really what is needed. Just really waking up, looking around you and saying, hey, what's really important in life? And I wonder if you have any thoughts on that. How do you get systems to change apart from individual, which is a rather slow transformation?
I feel it's somewhat of a domino effect. And I am a firm believer of divine timing. Maybe there is, just as an individual, how each of us has had some sort of a crisis in their lives, happens at a pivotal point in your lifetime, or many times. There's often multiple crises.
Sure.
So while it is alarming to see what's happening to the earth and the implications on climate, I think there is opportunities and seeds that can be planted that can grow faster and have that ripple effect out in a more significant way. So you talk very clearly and you support leaders who are at the realm of these massive, huge companies, that they could potentially ripple out this consciousness and an awareness in each of us.
That's certainly the hope. And there are indeed lots of things that do give us hope. I am actually a firm believer of hope.
Yeah.
So I do share your optimism and hope in that way. There are moments of, where you feel like,
but I think that's a natural process.
Yeah.
The highs and the lows of the emotional state, because we live in this world of duality on this third dimensional plane. We need that piece of ego, if you will, to get us out of bed and to get us motivated.
Yeah.
To tap back into the heart and go, okay, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, and that reminds me of something you said right at the beginning, the death making space for life, because I think we are in this turn where we are hospicing the old systems, the old capitalistic, colonialist systems. And that requires a lot of grief, that produces a lot of trauma, and that requires a lot of people holding space for those grieving, for all of us.
Yeah.
So it's of course not going to be a smooth journey, but I'm reading this wonderful book which about trees. I love trees. I'm absolutely fascinated more and more and more by the system of trees. And if I could turn into a tree, I would. Actually, I do want. After that, I have my wish is to be turned into a tree. It's possible in some places. Yeah. But anyway, going back to this thing I'm reading, even a dead log, a chopped log, a tree which has fallen in a forest, it holds space for life. Millions and millions of creatures live in that dead log. So even in death, this log is absolutely necessary for the health and the continuity of the forest.
Yes.
And that's such a gorgeous, amazing metaphor for, I think, also businesses which are not going to survive because, they are in the old way. Right. But I'm hoping that they would have the grace in that to give life to many other forms of businesses.
Absolutely. I love that analogy of the log holding space, holding a container for individuals who are still sifting out. I'm healing my own wounds from this crisis, or I can feel another wound coming up from what's shown up pre-pandemic. But now it's just widened and I need a place to land. I need a place to just be and heal. It's a beautiful analogy. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I could see it working as a way forward. Yeah.
I think there are many businesses, organizations, and even leaders who, perhaps you can lean into this a little bit further, are in their own emotional space, toying with what does it look like? We've been through so much. What does the future really look like? Not as a business person, but also as a human being. Where does my life take me? As a CEO, as an executive, as a CFO. Surely they're having their own dialogue, their own awareness and awakening, if you will, of some level. But in the same token, I want to preface it, if they're not, from my perspective, that's okay too, because that's their journey.
Yeah. I think one of the most powerful ways of reminding and also unifying again that the work you do in your business with the bigger systemic story is reminding your, all the CEOs, all the business leaders of future generations.
Yeah.
Like really, I think maybe even we could reach out to the current business leaders through their children, for example. That could be a very powerful way of sort of connecting the personal with the work and bringing that together again, because that's what happens a lot, right? Work has become so separated from our personal and the systemic or the bigger picture that we somehow have forgotten that what we do at work could actually have an impact on other things in
That's
life.
right.
And I always also talk about this analogy of, I always say, if in every business, the decision-making room, you have this table and you have the people, the board meeting, making decisions, always add 3 more chairs to that, 3 empty chairs. And the one chair being the previous leaders or the previous owners or the ones who have been before you, whose legacy you're holding or on whose shoulders you're standing. The other empty chair being the chair for the children who are yet to be born, so the future. And the third empty chair being voices which of beings which cannot themselves be present in that room. So the trees, the birds, the animals, the other stakeholders, which might not be the obvious stakeholders of that business, but are very much a part of that wider array of community that you're a part of, that you're belonging to.
Yeah.
And those kind of reminders could be a very strong way of making sure that your decision is beyond what's making immediate sense qua numbers.
Right. So looking at it from a broader picture, a broader perspective of consciousness, ultimately, right?
Yes. Yes. So the thing with conscious business, I think what really makes it stand apart is its approach to including all of your stakeholders into the process. So not just your obvious stakeholders like your shareholders and of course your management, your employees and your suppliers, but looking beyond it, looking at the community, looking even at your competitors, looking at, there are amazing examples of businesses which have included their competitors within their framework and sharing knowledge and creating a new value for the entire market by doing that, showing that, hey, it's actually possible to get more profit while being more open. Amazing, right?
It is. What a concept, huh?
Yeah. And it's possible if only we would sort of try and experiment and be open, have the courage to try these things.
Have you seen that reflected? Have you seen that modeled in your sphere of your work, and how did that?
Yeah, so this particular example is from a company, a family business in Netherlands called Oping, which is the Royal Oping, which is they are producers of beds and mattresses. And they went on recently to produce cradle-to-cradle mattress. They decided to pioneer, and they did a lot of research, and they produced a mattress which was 100% cradle-to-cradle. So everything could be 100% recycled. So within Holland itself, every year there's 1 million mattresses which are thrown away. And this is a country of 17 million people, right? So per year. So there's a lot of, all of that goes to landfill. So it really makes sense to try to make a mattress that can be fully recycled. And they produced this mattress. And then they found out, on top of being cradle to cradle, it's also extremely comfortable. It's the best fireproof, fire safe mattress that exists. So they were unexpected surprises which doesn't really shouldn't surprise you, because when you use really great materials, you tend to have
That's
really
right.
great products.
Yeah.
And then what they did was they opened up their factory of production to competitors and saying, hey, we invite you to come and produce the same mattress, learn from us how we do it, and sell it under your own name, because we want to change the whole market. We don't want to just create this. We want to open sources. We want to tackle waste. That's our purpose.
Beautiful.
And we can only do this. We can only achieve our purpose by doing it together, so that together included competitors. I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Love it.
No, I just wanted to say how purpose can really lead you into unexpected territories in this way.
Yeah. And even from the perspective of transparency, of here is our mission, business number one. Mm-hmm. We want to share it with you. So come on board, or let's align with this greater mission.
Yes. And different companies do this in other beautiful ways. And it's great if we can learn from all of them, and that's what I love to do, like listening to these stories, sharing these stories, inspiring other people, and hoping somebody's listening and willing to change.
Or at least open their heart, because that's how I translate that. As a business owner, a CFO, or somebody at the head of the realm of that business, saying, I want to open my heart to what this business stands for and how we can align by opening our hearts. Yes, the ego is in place and we all need to make money. I get that. But how can we create it in a more balanced way?
Yes. Yes, and there's plenty of research which says that when you're willing to follow the purpose, an authentic purpose for a company, you're willing to do the work, be conscious as a leadership, be nice to all your employees, foster a culture of trust and engagement and true participation, and involve all your stakeholders, then you do end up actually making more profit. Yeah. And these numbers have been proven again and again. Yeah. And so there's really actually no sense in not doing it.
That's right.
But the difference is it's not a short-term thing. You really have to be in it for the long term. So you need a long breath for it. Yeah. And that's perhaps why it takes a lot of, it's a higher threshold for many businesses to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what a beautiful gift and opportunity for individuals to really delve into a space and look at what their future generations are going to bring. Using the same analogy of having the additional 3 chairs in the room when this decision is going to take place.
Yes.
Opportunities are endless, but I think it's up to the individual of sitting in that quiet place of, are they really willing to take that step to get there?
Yeah. And knowing that sooner or later you'll become one of those chairs.
Yes. That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
So if you want your legacies to stay on, if you want to be a chair in that room.
Yes. That's right. Because there is more than the here and now. And I think perhaps that is the big step, Capitalism has a bit of a rap of saying there isn't anything more than just here and now. It's just make lots of money and live the high life, and that is it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's time to give capitalism a new name and a new turn. So we are very much inspired by the global movement of conscious capitalism, which is from the US. And I think, yes, they are really helping change the face of business. And in Europe, we are trying to do the same.
Absolutely. And it's long overdue. It's much needed. And I'm curious of each story that is either told or untold of the individuals, be it the leaders or the employees, that they go through themselves. Because I think we all love a good story.
Yes. Yeah, it's really about owning your story, uncovering, discovering your story and owning your story, and then writing your story to the, to a way where it can be of the biggest service to the people around you, to the world.
Absolutely. Sharing it with others, because you're not the only one facing those challenges on that path and on that journey.
Yes.
So what a beautiful gift, huh?
Yeah.
So what's next for you, other than the continuation of conscious leadership? Are there any other exciting new projects that you have on the way that you can share?
Well, what I'm doing more and more is combining two of my big loves, which is with the conscious leadership and the participatory leadership, which is collective intelligence, co-creation, and bringing that into the world of business. So I'm a practitioner of something known as the art of hosting and harvesting conversations that matter, which is a really mouthful for participatory leadership, which is what I said, collective intelligence and so on.
Yeah.
And I really strongly believe that that's the path to business transition. So that's what I'm trying to bring slowly in our processes, that when we are in businesses and we are helping them transition, how can we use all of these co-creative tools and methods to bring in change instead of a top-down leadership thing? How can it be all-inclusive, all stakeholders, everybody having a voice, including the 3 empty chairs, and so that's really exciting. And then there's my work with helping young women professionals owning their own story. So I love to help them with recognizing the power of their story, or the story of their power, whichever is more important.
That's right.
Yes. And I also, I must say, I do feel that I'm not somebody who's only, my work and life are just flowing through each other. So I'm not just like a work person. It's my life is my work and my work is my life. So between 2 children, a lot of trees to hug, and a lot of beauty to witness, there's plenty to do.
Absolutely. And what a beautiful gift. What a beautiful gift to everybody that you touch, with the energy that you bring and the consciousness and the sincerity of purpose that you walk through life with.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be seen in that way from you. And likewise, also thanking you for bringing in your purpose into the world via conversations with a lot of wonderful people. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I'm Naranjan, and you've been listening to Master of Your Crafts podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review, and join me next week for another episode. Thank you for listening.